All right. Joining me this week is Dino Watt. Dino, how's it going?
I'm doing awesome, man. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for asking. Before we dive in, what's something about your journey that people are always surprised to learn?
That's a good question because I think people are surprised to learn that I've had a lot of different careers
Mhm.
before I do what I do now. And I know a lot of people have, but I was a producer and I produced a TV show in Hollywood. I used to run an entertainment company in Hollywood. I was a Hollywood makeup artist. I did movies and television. I did stuff with Will Smith and other actors like that. Like it was a whole different career, but I get often people are like, what haven't you done? What are the things you do? And in a way, I like it. I kind of have as a badge of honor because I like that I've done a lot of stuff. I plan on doing a lot more. I have a musical I'm writing right now. I have a ton of stuff that I want to do. And I think it's what kind of keeps me young and vibrant and exciting. And yeah.
So then, if you don't mind me asking,
Yeah.
you produced a show, you said?
Yeah. I produced a TV show back in 2000. It was called Soap Dish Daily. And it was a combination of like Entertainment Tonight meets soap operas. And it was when there were a lot of soap operas, like every major channel. For those of you that are younger, we used to only have three channels, 3 to 4 channels. And back then they had these things called soap operas on channels, and every channel had like 3 or 4 different ones. And I just happened to be in a group of people at that time in Hollywood that I knew a few people who were on a couple of them. And I had this idea and I bootstrapped it, man. I got friends and family to give me $1,000 each, and I raised $10,000. And back then, that was still not enough money to produce a television show, but I did because I knew people who had cameras and I knew people who had a studio. And I had two friends, one who had just graduated from school for on-air journalism, and
Mhm.
another friend who used to be a teen game show host that I knew back in my dancing days. I used to be a dancer. And
Oh,
so I just called them up and said, hey, would you guys be in my pilot? And they're like, sure. So I took that business and I sold it actually. I shopped it around to Hollywood, went everywhere. If people remember Jenny Jones, I was with Jenny Jones Company. The people who produced Love Island back in the day, Dick Clark, all that, I was back with them. And I sold it to a company that was going to do this. Hold on now. This is going to be a shocker. Do this weird thing with this thing called the internet. And they were going to put 5 minute segments online that you could download during your lunch break and watch a small show on, a clips of shows. Obviously, this was pre YouTube.
yeah.
So these guys had this idea to do this thing. Long story short, I sold it for about $13 million ish. Of course,
Wow.
that was the full budget of the show, not just what I was going to get. But my wife and I were living in a 750 square foot apartment at the time with 3 kids. So this was changing our world, right? This was going to be a
Yeah.
totally different thing. Within a week, for those of you that are old enough to remember, we had the dot bomb era where all the dot coms collapsed and all the money went away. The company that bought my show was a part of that. And so I went from, in one week, selling a show for $13 million dollars to, oh, we're bankrupt. We have no money and we have the rights to your show. Bummer. And
Man.
that was a bad day. It was a hard time. I was super depressed. Yeah. So,
Wow.
yeah, it was
Okay.
rough. So, yeah. So that was my producing days and stuff like that. So
Interesting. We got to dive deeper on that. So then, where did dentistry come in?
there was a lot before that, before dentistry. So I did that because of the frustration of that moment. I just didn't know what to do. I knew Hollywood wasn't really conducive to having a family, and we had 3 kids under 3. So a gentleman I had done some part-time work for had offered me to come in and manage his company, which was an entertainment company. It was really struggling. And he said, hey, I believe in you. Will you just come and help me? And I turned that company around and made it really profitable to the point to where he could sell it off later on. And I knew it wasn't what I was passionate about, but I did it for about 7 years. And then I started looking into real estate, got
Mhm.
into real estate investing. That was interesting. That's where I first saw people on stages talking about stuff, talking about taxes, talking about real estate, and went, I could do that. I could be on a stage. Like, I'd love to do that. I'm born on the stage. I love that stuff. And I started doing some real estate, got kind of successful in that, successful enough to create a program where I could talk to people about it, sell about it. We moved here to Utah and I did an event where at the end of the event, the evaluation form, I asked, hey, I'm thinking about doing some other stuff like flipping houses or land deeds and trust. Or I have this idea for a marriage course. Which one would you be interested in? And overwhelmingly, people said, marriage. Tell us about this marriage thing. And the business was called the business of marriage. And it was all about how I had business principles and put them into your marriage. So I said, well, there's an interest in this. I'm going to just start doing it. And so I started it and it got kind of successful kind of fast. I had a gentleman here in Utah. His name is Garrett Gunderson. He's the reason why I do what I do now and I have the career that I do. Him and one other person is about to come up. I would help him. He was a financial planner. He asked for help in his marriage. I helped him. He was like, this is great. People struggle with money in their marriage. I don't want to deal with it. Can I send clients to you? All my clients are dentists and chiropractors. I said, great. So he started sending clients to me. One night on a Sunday night, I got a call from Scott Law from Smile Doctors. So for people who know Smile Doctors is, Scott Law called me up way before there was Smile Doctors. And he tells the story from the stage. So I'm not telling anything out of school, that he and his wife were struggling and he needed help. And Garrett said, call Dino. So I go there. Like I said, all my things were based around business principles. So more men were willing to listen because I was talking business, not your feelings and trauma and all that stuff, right? And so Scott invited me to come into his office in Killeen, Texas, to talk with his 25 other work wives to see how they could communicate better together. And I did a lot of body language training and stuff like that. And he pulled me aside. And when he knew what my mission was, because my mission was to reverse the direction of divorce, addiction, and suicide amongst private practice owners and their team members at that time, he went, nobody's doing this in our industry. You need to come into ortho. And I went, I don't know anything about ortho. And he said, you know people and you know business. And that's what this industry needs. And the rest is history. It's been now since 2012 since that happened.
Wow. Interesting, man. So
Yeah.
real quick, specifically right now, what do you do?
So I help doctors and team members have more unity, connection, and communication inside their office. In essence, I help build cultures based upon relationships, not based upon shtick.
Gotcha. Interesting. I would love to dive deep into your life. That
Yeah.
sounds super interesting. For right now, for this episode, I know we're going to be discussing on one specific piece of advice. So if you
Yeah.
can you give us one super specific piece of advice that could be controversial, could be something, in the questionable or anything, but you've seen it move the needle towards growth. What would that be?
I have two quotes. One's mine. One is from somebody else that I heard that I was like, oh, that's what I want to adapt. Mine is mediocrity becomes the standard when bad behavior gets a pass. So in any business, it doesn't matter what it is, even in corporations, in bands, whatever it is, when you see bad behavior happening, then mediocrity has to become the standard because you're allowing that behavior to happen. I was saying this, and at a conference, I saw a guy named Perry Belcher. He said it this way. He said, nothing will ruin a great team member faster than watching you tolerate a bad one.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I say that at conferences, both of those, I get so many head nods in there because everybody's been in that situation where you're in a group of people, you're trying to do your best. You want to come and deliver a great job and be the top of the leaderboard, whatever it is. And then this one Yahoo over here is being a jerk, or they're causing problems, or they're drama, and no one's doing anything about it. They're just like, hey, yeah, just ignore them. Hey, they're having a bad day. Hey, they're having a bad time. And unfortunately, the majority of the times, that person is really good technically.
Yeah.
They're really good at the technical thing. So that's why they give them a pass. Or there's some other thing going on. So if you just change that, if you just had a business where you said, you know what? No, I'm not going to be the person who lets bad behavior get a pass. I'm going to ask for these standards. I'm going to have people step up for not just the good of the business, but for their own good. I believe it is a true giving of love to your team members. Like you truly are showing them you love them when you don't let them slouch, when you don't let them be yahoos, when you do give them proper criticism. So you're saying, hey, this you could have done a little better. Hey, I want you to strive to do this. And then everybody has that positive peer pressure that everybody's rising up to the top.
Interesting. Okay, so then break it down for me. If we can rewind, do you remember the very first time you realized someone had allowed mediocrity into their practice? What was the small behavior that they let slide, and how did it snowball?
The first time I noticed it was actually in marriages. And then I did see it. The first one is actually at Scott's office. And we had a conversation about this after I got done observing in his office. But I started seeing in marriages, you think about it in your relationships, everything's a relationship, right? You have a relationship with money, you have a relationship with your health, you have a relationship hopefully with your spouse, your partner, with your kids, with your team members, with your coworkers, with your partners. When you accept mediocrity, and we do, we're all negotiating everything all the time. You're negotiating your spiritual beliefs, your politics, you're negotiating. That's what we do, is we negotiate all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But when we accept it and we let that behavior happen, we have to understand that that lowers the bar to everything else. So if I accept mediocrity in my marriage, if I accept me not being the best husband in the world and being a bad husband or somebody who doesn't respect my wife or whatever, Well, then that's the standard of our marriage. How could you ask for it? How can you be surprised when things don't go well? Well, take that to the workplace. When you are seeing people, and the first person I ever saw in this space, it's not hard to find them too, by the way,
Mhm.
was actually a manager. The conversation I had with Scott was, hey, do you notice this person? I think that might be a problem. So one of the things that I don't do in my consulting work is I never go into an office and I say, that person needs to go. You need to fire that person. And I know there are people who love to do that. That's not me.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what behavior is happening as why the doctor or the owner is allowing that behavior to happen. And so my question is always, why are you okay with that? So, hey, doc, you're complaining about this person coming in late or this person being insubordinate or this person causing drama. So the question is, okay, good. I'm glad you noticed it. Why are you okay with that? Because
Mm.
that next thing is going to help me understand. She's really good at what she does. Oh, okay. There's a great guy named Keith Cunningham. He has a great book, one of my favorite books called The Road Less Stupid. He says, if you can pay for a problem, if you can write a check for the problem, it's not a problem. So quit complaining about it. If you have a team member who you whine and moan about
Mhm.
it, if you are somebody who does that, but yet every week you're willing to write a check for it, then you need to shut up because you're paying for the problem to happen. You're literally saying, oh, I really hate this, but I'm going to pay this person every week. Would you do
Yeah.
that in your normal life? If you had somebody come into your house every day, would you be okay with that? If they were causing you this many problems, like, okay, I'll write your check anyway.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. So then it's something you mentioned where it's like, hey, you're allowing mediocrity, you're seeing it, you're doing this, especially in marriages, right? So then what if we just decided, hey, okay, I'm not going to allow it? How do you do that? Don't you come off as a jerk a little bit, kind of a thing? Like, hey, you're being mediocre, kind of a thing. And then they're like, okay, what do I do now?
So my son was a failure to launch for a while. He had all these things set up in his life. It's like, okay, he's got good parents. He's got parents who love each other. He's got parents who love him. He was a failure to launch on some things. When I have that conversation with him, I don't say, dude, you're being a loser. I say,
Yeah.
hey, Hayden, I've noticed that this is what you're getting. This is the result you're getting. Okay, let's talk about why you're getting those results. And let's figure out another path. If you truly want a different result, let's do this. Well, it's the same thing in your business, right? Team members complaining, no, 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 no. Oh, okay, cool. You notice that you're not happy. Let's talk about why you're not happy. Well, I'm not happy because of them, and them. Well, okay, so you're not willing to take any self-reflection and any guilt on yourself, right? I'll rewind this back a little bit because I think all of these problems can be solved with the right interview process when you hire people. And the problem is people don't hire people correctly.
Mm.
But when you notice it, to be able to have a conversation with, if you let bad behavior happen twice, it now becomes a habit. The first time they're testing you out. Hey, I was late. I had to stop and get my coffee or whatever. I was late. Sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry I was late. First time you're like, all right, I noticed you're late. Please don't do it again. Second time, they're late. Hey, I'm sorry. I'm late. Okay. If you don't say anything there, it's a habit now. And by the way, the other people in the office have evidence to be able to say, well, you let her, why are you getting on me about it? You let her do it. She can come in late. I have kids too. I had to get coffee too. I had traffic too. I have all those things too. So the point is you have to be willing to go out and say, hey, this is a problem. And here we just don't allow that. Because the thing to remember is they're not doing anything wrong. They're doing what they want to do and they think makes them feel good, appreciated, important, and everybody wants that. They're battling for their own right to do that thing. And that's not wrong. It might not be okay for here, but if you haven't set up the boundaries and you haven't set up what I call, the core values, I talk about core values in my book a lot. The difference between a generic core value and a real core value. A generic core value is we are honest, we have integrity, da, da, da. Enron had honesty and integrity as part of their core values.
Yeah.
Don't know what to tell you, folks. That's not real. A
Yeah.
real core value is something that actually makes a difference and moves the needle. And I can talk to you about it. And I can say, hey, Judy, you've been late the last couple of days. Remember, one of the core values we have is we want to be the best part of our patient's day. And unfortunately, if we're starting our day late and we don't have the right people and we're making them late, we've already made their day not the best. So we need to enroll you in doing that. And if you'd like to join us in that, cool. If not, that's okay. I want to love you into another job because there are other places that are okay with you being late. There are other places with you are okay with being mediocre. I'm not okay here. And you got to have the conversation. And by the way, I'm saying all this not as just a consultant. I'm a business owner. I'm a practice owner. I own a chiropractic office in Arizona. I have employees. I've had to fire people. I get to hire people. I do this. And
Yeah.
so it's making people stand up to the certain standard.
You mentioned love you into another job. What does that mean?
That means you're no longer needed here. And I love you enough to tell you that there are other places that are okay to accept your behavior there. It's time to go there. I don't
Mm,
hate you because you're being bad. I don't dislike you. I don't have any ill will towards you. I just recognize that what you want out of this relationship is not okay with me. If I was dating someone and they wanted to be dating someone else at the same time, but I want to be exclusive, I can't be mad at them. They just aren't choosing to love me and be only with me. Cool. Go be with that person. There's a saying a while ago when it comes to sales. If you're struggling between choosing me and the other person and everything else is the same except for price, please choose the other person. If you don't value me enough, then fine. That's okay. I'm not hurt. I'd rather you say no than maybe go to the other person. Scott Lai said that once. He said, love them into another job. And I went, yes, that's exactly the way to say it because it does. You can still love people and say this isn't the right place to work for you.
interesting. Okay, I like that. So then let's expose like the ripple effect of this. So, what is the most expensive consequence you've seen from tolerating bad behavior? Was it turnover, production loss, or something hidden owners don't really calculate?
Well, there's a study that was done actually with over 100,000 employees. And what they did is they measured the energetic productivity of people around people who were not being productive. So basically, it was this. If you come to work and you're grumpy, in a bad mood, anybody within a 15-foot radius of you will decrease in their production and their productivity by 35%.
Wow.
But if you come to work happy, just even normal, like in an okay mood, everybody within a 15-foot radius will increase their productivity by 13%. That's how powerful we are as people. This is the effect we have in people. And by the way, I think a lot of that is the effect that people really just don't understand that they're needed. And this is what I try to get across in my teams, to my teams when I'm on stages, when I'm in front of them, even in my videos. Like, you're necessary. You were hired for not just to fill in, right? Like, as an individual person, you might feel they just want me to do the work and give me a paycheck and shut up. I don't agree. I think every business owner out there wants you to be successful. So I started my career back in Hollywood, like I talked about, and I used to be an actor. And one of the things that the casting directors that I would meet with would say over and over again, one of my really good friends is a casting director. And she says all the time, you have no idea how badly we want you to be good. We want you to be the person that walks in the room and nails the audition, and we can go to the directors and say, yes, this person did it. It's the same thing with owners of businesses. I know I want every applicant to come in and blow my socks off. I'm never going in there like, yeah, show me what you got. I'm like, blow me away, man. I want you to be amazing. And because of that, if I say yes to you, then you're needed every day. Yes, even on Mondays when you've partied all weekend long. I need you every day. Yes, even when traffic is hard. I want you every day because you're a significant and important part of my team. Now, I understand sometimes owners don't have a good way of expressing that and showing that, and that's where I come in, but I need you to know that. And so if you can get there, then we can have a different conversation about how you show up at work.
I like that a lot, man. That they're needed. They're needed every day. What if, though, it's like, hey, man, I need you every day. Monday, you got to turn it on. Tuesday, right? Every day, you got to turn it on. Where does grace come in?
Grace is the foundation of everything. Look, I have a team member right now who, after the summer, the kids now are starting two different schools. So school can't start at the same time. We start our day at 8:30. She can't be there till 9. She has no family around. She can't drop off the other kid. She tries to do a carpool thing that works every other week. So every other week, she's going to be till 9. That's actually something that we didn't agree upon when she first started. We didn't even know about it till literally the week of. So we had a conversation. Hey, this is a challenge. Like, we need you to be here at 8:30 for our morning huddle so we can be prepared for our patients as they come in. She's like, I don't know what to do. And right now we're working with it. We're showing grace. We're like, hey, we're going to work with it. We're going to see what we can do. We don't want to lose her. She's great in all aspects. She's not just good technically. Everybody likes her. She's nice. She causes no drama. She's perfect. And yet there might be a point where we have to say, we can give so much grace, but when it starts affecting our patients, when it starts affecting the rest of the team, that's where the challenge is going to come in. So we're dealing with that.
Gotcha. Because at that moment, you don't really see it as, or do you see it as like, hey, the other team members are noticing this?
They're not at this point. They know it, but the team members that we have are all kind of siloed in what they do. We have a doctor, we have a nurse practitioner, we have other stuff. So it's kind of siloed in that way. But there is this like, okay, are we willing to make up for that half an hour that she's not here to catch her up? So there's still a conversation happening. And yet we're all aware, everyone, even her, aware that this might get to the place where we're like, we can't do that anymore because it's hurting the outcome of the company and the patients. So we'll have to rearrange our relationship.
I like that a lot, man. So then when it comes to this, you also mentioned you work with the doctors a lot on mediocrity when it comes to talking to knowing what to say, especially if they're like, hey,
Yeah.
I don't know how to say it. Have you ever come across in a situation where it's them, the owner, they're the ones who are like setting the bar at mediocrity?
That's usually the case.
Yeah.
Harvard did a study that said something like 83% of people think they're self-aware. And the reality is only 13% of people really are. Like, that's true. There are a lot of people who are not self-aware. It's always somebody else's fault. I had a dentist call me one time. This is probably about 5 years ago. Midwest somewhere. She wasn't a client. She just heard about me, reaches out, starts telling me all the problems. And she finally gets to a place where she says, I just don't understand why they won't think the way I do about the business. And I said, well, if they would have gone to dental school. And she goes, oh yeah, that makes sense. It's like, there's no way they're going to think about you the same way you think about your business. This is your baby. I don't care who they are. Your greatest office manager in the world, no matter how much they love your business, no matter how much they take ownership of the business, it's still not their business. I had another doctor, and Keith Gores once told me this, and I love that he said this. He said, the loyalty of your team members is based upon who writes on a paycheck. And it's kind of true. The challenge is doctors don't always get that it does start from the top. It really does. It starts from your attitude, what you're putting out there culture-wise, your openness, your honesty, your connection, your challenge. There are some doctors who are afraid to challenge their team members because they don't want them to quit. I saw this episode just the other day. I love Marcus Lemonis. He used to have a show called The Prophet and now another one called The Fixer on Hulu. Basically what he does, he goes into businesses that are struggling. He's a multi-millionaire immigrant from, I think, Cuba or something like that, and turns around businesses. And he's had this business the other day on this show, and it was a car audio place. The owner could not have been more of a jerk to people, like just berated people, mean to them. 4 grown men from New Jersey that are taking this crap. One of the guys had been there for 25 years. The least guy had been there 13 years. And they put up with this. Why? Because they believed in what they were doing. I'm not saying to be a jerk with people. What I'm saying is people will put up with a lot. I'd rather you help them put up with challenging them, be good to them. And this is what Marcus taught. The owner was like, man, why are you going this route? Challenge them, help them, support them, encourage them. You don't have to berate them. My point of that is I don't want anybody to berate anybody. But when people are so worried about, oh, if I say something, they might leave. Yeah, they might. That's true. That's part of your hiring process. And you got to get good at the hiring process. But they also, if you challenge them, if you go to them, Will Guardia from 11 Madison Park, who I love, he has this thing about criticism. He's like, we've gone away from criticism with our team members, and that's not good. Because criticism is you going to them and saying, hey, I love you enough to let you know this isn't okay. I love you enough to let you know that I want you to succeed, and we can't succeed if you keep doing that. That's where you help people out. And we have people too afraid to do that. And also mediocrity starts with doctors not being okay with looking at where they are. I talk about the scale, and everybody hates the scale, you know, the weight scale. It's the worst invention ever. Nobody likes it because it tells you the truth.
Yeah.
Whether you're at the doctor's office or in your bathroom, no matter how much you blow the air out or think light thoughts, the weight is the weight, no matter what it is. But once you know it, you can't deny it. You have knowledge, and you either get to do something about it or you get to start blaming everybody else about it. Oh, it's because my wife feeds me too much. Oh, it's because I work. Oh, it's because I travel all the time. You can do that. I've done it. We've all done it. Or you can go, you know what? That's not okay. I need to do something about that. And that's the same thing in business.
Interesting. So then let's talk about the systems that prevent mediocrity. If you were designing a brand new startup today, what 3 systems would you put in place from day one to make mediocrity impossible to survive?
Number 1, easy. And I won't say nobody does it. It's very rare to find people actually have this. Know what your vision is for the business. You have to know what your happiest place on is. You have to know what your Just Do It is. You have to know what your Savannah Bananas is. Why? Because then you can invite people to that party. If you just invite people, they don't know what they're getting involved with, and there's too many ideas of what this could be if you don't know where you're going. Nobody wants to go on a road trip in the middle of the summer without air conditioning, without a radio, if you don't know where you're going. But if you know where you're going to the greatest place they can go to, your favorite vacation spot, people are willing to put up with some stuff. That's number one. Number two, to help you get there, you have to have your core values. Core values are the roadmap. So I do this example for team members all the time. If you just imagine we had a park that we were designing, as old school park had like the metal slides and the swing sets and all that stuff. And it was designed by the city because the cities are idiots most of the time. They built this park with two major highways running on either side of the park and no fencing whatsoever. Well, you don't let the kids play anywhere but the dead center of that park, and you stand by them the whole time. But the moment you and a bunch of parents get together and you erect a 8-foot high fence around the entire thing with one gate going in and out, the kids can play anywhere they want. The core values are your fences. A lot of people think if I don't have rules or policies, I was at a doctor's office once, I remember, successful doctor too, so I'm not knocking him at all. I said, what are your policies and procedures around that? I hate policies and procedures. I said, first of all, you don't, because you obviously are successful because you have certain policies. You just don't like to name them and you don't like to actually have them written down. But the moment you have policies and procedures, core values, understanding 8:30 start time, that's part of the fence. So we can all play together better. We have to put in our vacation notice at least 6 weeks in advance. That's part of the fence so that we can all play well together. The better and stronger the core values, the more we can play together. So new startups, vision, and then core values. Third, take 3 times longer to hire people. I'm just gonna let this sit there for a minute because I know you just had a bunch of people who are like, oh, Dino, you don't understand. I need somebody today. It's the reason why you have people who are not fits and you're trying to fit them in and you're trying to like, oh, I'm gonna give them a little bit of this because why? You don't want to deal with the hiring process again. If you take 3 times longer to hire and twice as fast fire people, you will be way happier in your life. The moment you think in your head that this person is not a right fit, that you're like, oh, I wish they would just quit, you need to let them go because you're not loving them. You're actually doing a disservice to them. But hiring is one of the most crucial parts. Think about this. Let's look at a startup, as you mentioned. What do the startups think about, right? They spend all the time they can to get the right loan. They make sure they find the great location. They want a really cool logo. They hire people to do a cool website. They get the great photography, interior designer to make it look like it's a place that you would never go to, but hey, somebody said it looks cool, right? You spend all this time, effort in it, and you're not going to spend as much, if not more time, to make sure the right people are coming in that door to help you make it a success. That's crazy. Dave Ramsey says that most of the team members there, they spend at least 12 to 20 interviews before they are hired.
Wow.
I have a buddy, a friend of mine, Sean, from high school. He worked for Disney for almost 25 years, recently changed to work for the Ramsey Corporation. I reached out to him on Facebook and I said, is it true that you had to do, I think it was like more than 12 interviews? He said, yeah, mine was like 13. You meet with all different types of department. And the reason why Dave Ramsey says he does that, it was on an interview that on his podcast that he said this, because the longer you let people talk, the more they'll tell you who they are. I want to know who's working for me. I want to know how they think about stuff, how they process, how they have critical thinking. And unfortunately, we get people because we need a warm body. It doesn't work that way. So those 3 things, out of everything, you will be way ahead than anybody. I don't care how good you are, because those are only 3 things, by the way, that are not commodities. So the way that you do your thing is a skill, is a talent, cool. But I can find 50 other doctors who do that thing too, 50 other lawyers who do that thing too, 50 other landscapers who do that thing too. The thing you do is not what makes you stand out. It's how you do it and the reason behind it. And so the culture you create, bar none. So I just rewrote my first book. By the time this is released, my next 2 books will be released. Nice. The first one is the re-release of the Practice RX, which is this here. It's a re-release, totally rewritten. And then I have another one called the Magnetic Culture Equation. In the book, it lays out exactly this, that you have to understand culture is the most important thing. Everything else is a commodity. Everything else somebody else can do. Nobody needs to get braces. I know that's hard to hear. No, people can live without braces. It's true. But people choose to do it, and they choose to do it with you based upon how they feel in your office. So those 3 things are the only things that matter in your culture. So my point of all that is COVID changed a lot of the way that we interact with stuff, but the thing that has not changed is culture.
Would you say that's different the way the patient feels it compared to the way the team members feel it, or everybody has to feel it the exact same way?
No. I think people feel it differently. It's the intention behind it is the same. So the intention is, I don't want to just be the best part of my patient's day. I want to make sure my team members feel like coming to work was the best part of their day, right? It's a core value of what I am and who I am. The core value isn't for other people. It's for us to show up so they get that, right? So we show up in a certain way so that they can be the recipient of that thing. So yeah, I think it's for both of them.
So then, talking about the systems here to prevent mediocrity, when we do see behavior slip, sometimes, like you mentioned, we often don't know what to say in the moment. So what's the most effective script or approach you give to confront mediocrity without creating fear?
Great question. And it is hard because most people who went to some sort of professional school, dental, ortho, medical, whatever, they got no training whatsoever in how to run a business and even less on how to deal with people. Yeah. And especially people who don't have the same type of drive as you do, who aren't high performers, who don't understand and see the world the way that you do. So it's hard because if you say something that is inappropriate, most people just don't say anything until it gets too much, right? It blows up and then it's really terrible. I have this phrase that I use quite a bit when I'm trying to understand. I just want people to know that this isn't theory. This is what I actually do. So we had a billing person in my business who was doing stuff that looked a little weird. We had gained them from the person we bought the company from. And they were fine, but we got an office manager who came in and she knew billing too. And she started looking at stuff going, something's up. This isn't always right, whether it be embezzlement, whether it be whatever. We didn't know. But the last thing you want to do is walk into something and be like, we don't trust you, right? So I trained my office manager, my wife, and then I've been using this for years to do this. Help me understand. How is XYZ? So I'm seeing this. Can you help me understand why this is this way? So this phrase, help me understand, is a phrase that allows people to open up and be like, oh, you're just asking a question. You're dumb. You don't understand. I even do it when I was like, help me understand. I don't get it. Like, why is that happening?
Yeah.
And now it allows them to go like, oh, and remember the whole thing about the longer you let people talk, the more they'll tell you who they are. That's a great way to do it. He was like, oh, help me understand. So combine that with this one other little skill, if you will, not a trick, a skill. I learned this from Chris Voss from Never Split the Difference. If you're watching this right now and you have not read Never Split the Difference or watched him on Masterclass, you need to go and do that today. It's a masterful negotiation book. And this piece that he does, you could have full-on conversations by doing this, and the other person will never know. And you're going to get so much information out of them. So I'm going to ask you a question and we'll just demonstrate it. So Michael, help me understand why you decided to start a podcast and what does the podcast do for you?
I started the podcast because people wanted to know about ground marketing strategies. And then I got tired of typing and writing articles. So I just decided to start it and talk about it. And then I was like, hey man, there's other people who know a bunch of incredible stuff like Dino. And so I want to have them on the podcast, and lo and behold, it blew up. And now it's like, we all discuss just the business side of dentistry.
So you got tired of writing it down and explaining it that way?
I had a blog, and then I'm like, man, too much typing, too much doing. So I decided to talk about it instead.
So, and then you decided just to put it in like this type of format?
Yep.
Tell me more about that.
Yeah, I decided to put it in this type of format. And then first couple episodes was just me talking to the microphone. And then I'm like, I can't be the only one who knows marketing strategies. There has to be other people. And so there was other practices in our area who were doing incredible, and we interviewed them and then started interviewing more in the country and more in the world.
You've done more in the world than this?
Oh, yeah.
What have I learned from this whole conversation so far? Have I learned more or less about you?
I would say more, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
What have you learned about me?
That you like to ask questions?
Nothing. All you learned is like, he's just asked me a question after my question after my answer. In a negotiation or in a challenging conversation, it is even easier because you can just keep having that conversation. Wow. So you love podcast? You really enjoy this medium? Asking the question. And all I did is I took a piece of what you said, or typically it's going to be the last part of what you said, and just repeat it back to you in a question. Why? Because if I ask it back in a question, your brain goes, okay, I need to clarify this some more. All right, I'll go deeper and I'll keep talking. And then you can just keep going deeper and deeper and deeper in the conversation. And I'm not even a master at it. I just like using it to get more information because it allows them to feel at ease of like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm going to give them more info. Oh yeah, who's our favorite subject to talk about? I mean, look at me on this podcast. I've done most of the talking. I love talking about myself. We all love talking about ourselves. So if I let you talk more about yourself and your experience, and if I could have gone deeper into like, well, tell me about some of the people you've interviewed around the world and why is that exciting to you? And what have you learned? And I'm just asking about you. And now you become the subject of my attention. And you're going to tell me a lot more about yourself. So if I have a problem child, what I call them in offices, you have problem childs. And the problem child is this: it's either a problem in their performance or their
Hmm.
personality. That's it. Sometimes personality becomes performance, sometimes performance becomes personality. So if I have a problem child, I need to bring them in and say, "Hey, Michael, notice that you've been late the last couple of days coming in. And, we really want to be the best part of our patient's day. If we start the day late or if we're not prepared, we're already starting their day off not the best. So can you help me understand what's going on? Why are you not able to be here on time?"
Man, family issues, traffic. The other day I was late because my kid was sick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those are all hard things. I get it. So do you deal with traffic a lot, and do you not have anybody to kind of help out with the kid, or is it just yourself?
Yeah, it's just myself, or no, my wife, but she goes in early. So then she takes the good car. So traffic issues kind of become a problem on my end. And if it's one person, I can't get on the HOV lane kind of a thing. So yeah, we're just stuck there.
So I would skip ahead here after asking more questions, and this
Mhm.
is what I would say. So number one, I want to challenge you to get here on time every day as much as possible. I'm even being nice about because I really need it to be every day. What do you think you can do to be more on time more often, even all the time? Like, what are some things that you can do to make that happen?
At this point, Dino, what if they said, well, that's what I was hoping to talk to you about. I was hoping if you can actually give me some like mercy or like grace and then let me come in a little bit later at a
Yeah.
different set time.
Yeah. So you want to be able to come in at a different set time than everybody else in the office? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, my circumstances are super difficult right now, but I know you understand.
Yeah, I totally understand. I get it. And unfortunately, everybody in the office also has family and they have traffic and they have other circumstances and everybody's individual. But can you imagine if I like decided to make different rules for every single person in the office? How do you think that would go for me?
I mean, I can understand for others, like they don't have the same circumstances as me.
None of them do.
I don't think so.
So was this something that you were aware of when you started the job, or is this brand new information to you?
Kind of brand new. I just had the kid, like you know. And then at the same time, my wife just got laid off. She got a new job.
Yeah. So if your wife's laid off, it's probably even more important for you to be here for every hour that you can be to make sure you get paid for every hour, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. When it comes down to it, unfortunately, as a business owner and as somebody who wants to be as graceful as I possibly can, I got to have some certain set rules for everybody. And I understand if that doesn't work out for you, just let me know. I totally understand. I would hate to lose you over that, but I can't make different rules for everybody because we have to be here for our patients and for each other. And when our team knows that you're here for them, you've been in those days before, right? Unfortunately, people kind of treat you a little differently. If you come in late and you made their day a little bad, I don't want that to be for you. So we got to have everybody kind of on the same page. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. You know, you're good at this, man. I was trying to pull out some stuff, but it's interesting. So you can understand, but you don't have to agree.
100%. Just like everything is going to be fair, but nothing will be equal. That's so important for people to get. I learned this from my kids years ago, right? I have 3 kids. They're all within 3 years of each other. So I have 2 girls who are the oldest. And you think one that's a little bit just 11 or 18 months younger than the oldest one didn't want to put makeup on when her oldest sister got to put makeup on, didn't want to start going on dates. What would they say? That's not fair. And I would always say, no, no, no. It's fair. It's just not equal. In your team, they have to know it's
Mhm.
always fair. It'll just never be equal. If I decided to give you your time of, okay, like if I have Maria, then I'm going to have to go to the team and say, you guys, everything's going to be fair. Maria's going to do some extra things. She's going to only have like a half-hour lunch or whatever. Like we can decide on that. I want you to know we're trying to make things as fair as possible, but it's not going to be equal. Her circumstances are different. I understood this. I'm taking that risk on as a business owner. I'm going to take that on me. If you have a problem with it, that's okay. Let's talk about that individually. But I'm taking that on me. It's just not going to be fair. Just like this, I just wrote my last week's newsletter was about this. Everybody gets a voice in my business. Everybody. I want to hear from everyone. I want to hear your craziest idea. I want to hear your thoughts and your interpretations of stuff, but not everybody gets a vote. So at the end of the day, I'm going to hear your ideas. I want you to pour them out on me. And I'm going to be able to say, that's cool. That's awesome. Please keep bringing more to me. At this time, we're not going to be able to do that. That doesn't mean you're wrong or bad or don't bring them to me. It's just like, we don't have the money to do it. It's not the right time. We have other plans, whatever. Everybody has a voice. Nobody gets a vote though.
Yeah.
Some votes have more weight. It's this whole thing. And there's a problem that's happening in our society right now is this idea of like, that's not fair. So some people have more value than others. Yeah. If I have an office manager who's running my books and can talk to all of my vendors and discount the fees that I'm paying versus someone who I pay $20 an hour to answer her phone, yeah, she's going to have a different weight. She has a different level of vote. Absolutely. That's just life. And so we have to have that set up. But here's the deal. That $20 an hour person still has a voice. I still value them. And they can continue to increase their value through time, through efficiency, through what they add to the day. I mean, all that stuff. That's how I did it. That's how you do it. That's how everybody does it.
That's really good. I like that a lot. How can the practice owner increase like their patience in that sense? Because for example, right now, you know how we were going back and forth kind of a thing, and I was the employee. Honestly, man, at one point I would have just been like, dude, you're just giving me excuses. Like, you're not special. You're not anything like that. Like, you can go if it's too much, right? That would have been me.
Yeah.
Which probably is not the best thing.
Yeah, but I get it.
What could I do in the sense to hold on a little bit tighter and try to work it out? Because now, if I did hold on and try to work it out, I'm thinking in the back of my mind when they come in again, I'm like, you think you kind of got your way, but man, I had to negotiate. You know what I mean?
Everything's a negotiation. So yeah, I know what you mean. Well, let's reverse that. If you set up the agreement afterwards and you get to a place, if we role play that all the way out, we would end up with an agreement. Okay, so what agreement can we have? Doc, I'm going to come in. I'm going to be here every day. I'm going to do it. And if not, I will call you ahead of time. There are no surprises, blah, blah, blah. Right. Then you come in 2 weeks later and you have not called in and you were late and you skid by without saying it. That's a different conversation. Mm-hmm. That's where we get to say, okay, listen, obviously this is not the right place for you. And I tried, you tried, I get it. It's okay. I love you enough to allow you to go to another job. And that's the way you have to look at it. But how you get there is, and listen, I've had a lot of practice on this because I've had to learn to be very curious about people. And I have this saying, which is, do I want to be inquisitive or accusational? The inquisitive part, if I ask more questions about the thing, the person, the situation, I'm going to get a lot more data. But the moment I throw in an accusation, because we are all statement making people, right? We statement on everybody. It's, oh, they're this. Oh, you think that. You don't do that. The moment I do that, we stop conversation because I've already decided and they think I've already decided. So what's the point of them releasing any new information to me? Oh, man, you're so lazy. I know that's why you're not here. Well, why should we have a conversation anymore? So I want to be less accusational and more inquisitive in the things that I do. And if I can do that, I'm going to learn a lot more. And that's to a point. I think this needs to be said because I get what you're saying here. So in my whole process of hiring and firing of people, in the firing process, once I figure out who the problem child is, or I know that there's a problem child, when I bring them in, I will give them grace. I will say, listen, it's been a couple of weeks. You've been late 5 times in the last 2 weeks. That's not okay. Here's what's going to happen. After we go through the conversation, here's what we're going to resolve with. We have 4 weeks to change this behavior. And in 4 weeks, you and I are going to meet again, and we're going to talk about how this behavior has changed. And I'm going to talk to your leads, your managers, and all that stuff. And I'm going to get a sense of how things are going. In 2 weeks, we're going to have a check-in, though. So 4 weeks, a date with you and I to have the same conversation. In 2 weeks, we're going to have a check-in. And that check-in is going to be real fast. How's it going? Do you need anything from me? Do you need anything from me to be successful? I want you to be successful, which remind me about that in a moment because that's a really important part for owners. If we get to an agreement there and they say, okay, great, I understand. A couple of things are going to happen as soon as that conversation's over. They leave, they go, you have your feeling of accomplishment like, cool, I set up a parameter, I have 4 weeks, we're going to see what happens. You could either be in the side of, I don't think this is going to work out, or you can be in the side of like, I really hope it works out. Either way, doesn't matter because that person is going to show you who they are within days. The first person who you don't want anymore is going to walk out of that room and be like, I can't believe he did that and go and tell people. And it's going to get back to me because it always does. The day it gets back to me, whether it's a day later, 3 days later, an hour later, I call them back in and I say, you know what? This was the arrangement we had. It looks like you don't really want to do that because your next step wasn't to improve and to do what we talked about. Your next step was to go and complain about the deal that we had. That tells me you really don't want to be here anymore. We need to let you go. The second person is going to go, oh my gosh, I had no idea this was a major problem. I am so sorry. I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure it works. And they are going to change that behavior. This happened in an office in Chicago once. We had this conversation with the team member who was doing some stuff, and she was genuinely flabbergasted that this was the critique she was getting back. She was like, I don't see myself as being that type of person who I'm short. She was really short with people. She was super sarcastic in a mean way. And she went home that night and complained to her boyfriend about this. And her boyfriend goes, Yeah, you are. You're totally that. She came back the next day and was like, I had no idea I was like that. I thought you guys were being so mean. And my boyfriend said you were right. I will change this behavior. Thank you for letting me know. I mean,
Hmm.
that's a win. That's what you want. Is it going to happen every time? No. But you got to be in that space. You have to know that the third person, who doesn't happen as often, is they're going to be okay for the first 2 weeks, but 3 weeks, 4 weeks is really hard to change behavior. If somebody truly doesn't want to change, they're going to fake it for a good 2 weeks, have the check, and yeah, I'm fine, no problem with. And then you're going to see some slippage. And then if they're good enough and they're sly enough to go past the 4 weeks, and then they start going back to behavior again, that's when you bring them like, listen, obviously 4 weeks wasn't enough. We got to change this around. We got to go.
Interesting. So many scripts. I love it, man. And then you said want you to be successful.
Yeah. So this actually came from my marriage coaching. This is really important for doctors or owners to just let team members know this. So in marriage, the challenge is often we forget we're on the same team and we both want to win, because if only one wins, the other one loses. Therefore, the whole marriage loses, right? In business, the same thing. So I would set it up like this. In a marriage, I'll talk to a couple. I'm going to be very, very stereotypical here. So don't anybody write me an email. I'm going to be super stereotypical about this.
Yeah.
Husband and wife together. Her biggest complaint is, I want him to say, I love you more. I say, cool. How much more do you want him to say, I love you? And she's like, I don't know, more. I'm like, more is not a number. Like, how many times a day, how much a week do you need to hear I love you to feel secure in your relationship? She says, every day. I need to hear at least once a day, every day. I want to hear him say, I love you. Cool. Dude, can you say to your wife, I love you every day? Yeah, I love her. Of course I could say that. No problem. Cool. Wife, do you want to be right or do you want to win? What do you mean? So here's what's going to happen. He's out of practice at saying, I love you. You know that. That's why we're here talking about this. But you want him to say, I love you. You've asked for one day a week, every day, for him to say, I love you. He's agreed to it. Day one, he's going to do it. Day two, he's going to do it. Day three, you're going to be brushing your teeth. It's going to be time to go to bed. And you're going to know, because you track this the way that you do, that he has not said, I love you yet. It's going to spark up in your brain. Oh man, he hasn't said, I love you. And while you're brushing your teeth, you get to make a choice. Right there, you get to say, do I want to be right or do I want us both to win? So you can not say anything, brush your teeth, spit out your spit, go to bed and go, see, I knew it. He did not love me. He can't even do 3 days. Or you can brush your teeth, spit out your mouth and go, hey, honey, you forgot to say I love you today so far. And he is going to give you the biggest kiss and the love and say, thank you so much for saying, I really appreciate it. And you're both going to get what you need. Now in business, it's the same way. It's not a kiss. It's not an I love you. It's a, hey, doc, have you told your team how much you want them to win today? And when they're not doing the thing that you just said last week, we talked about this. Are you going to go, see, they didn't care, see? Or are you going to go, hey, Julie, remember we said we are going to do that thing? Don't forget, because it's got to create the habit for her too, or him too. And I apologize for anybody who's recognized that I've only said female names when it comes to employees, but in our industry, the majority of them are females. So I'm used to that. But substitute it with whoever you want. But that's about understanding. I want you to know, this goes back to the you're needed and we're on the same team. I want you to win. I want you to be successful. I don't like having employee evaluations that are negative. I don't want to have to discipline you. I don't want to have to fire anybody. This is the way you do it. Here's the formula.
Brilliant. I love that, Dino. Thank you so much for being with us. It's been a pleasure. But before we say goodbye, can you tell our listeners where they can find you?
Yeah, dinowatt.com is the best way to do it. dinowattconsulting.com. dinowatt.com is really for my speaking. And if you want me to come out and speak at your events and stuff, Dino Watt Consulting is all about my consulting group. As I mentioned earlier, I got my Practice RX second edition book coming out on October 1st, along with the magnetic culture equation. And I'm all over socials too. So find me there.
Nice. That's going to be in the show notes below. That's exciting stuff. Excited for your book and everything else to come out too as well. And so, Dino, thank you so much for being with us. It's been a pleasure, and we'll hear from you soon.
Thank you very much.